Federal bureaucrats at the Department of Energy are threatening access to gas stoves for millions of Americans through the rulemaking process. In fact, the DOE admits that up to 50% of all gas stoves currently on the market or in use in American households will not meet the proposed standards. This amendment would stop the DOE from imposing this regulation. According to the DOE's own analysis in 2020, 38% of Americans use natural gas to cook in their homes. The Energy Information Administration says cooking with gas is 3 times cheaper than cooking with electricity. The American people see this for what it is, a direct attack on all natural gas use in the country and another example of the Biden administration's desire to control every decision we make. Moreover, this rule is essentially a tax on consumers who are already being squeezed by inflation. My Democratic colleagues would argue that these rules were crafted with the purpose of saving consumers money. The DOE estimates the regulation would reduce energy use by 3.4%, resulting in a savings of only $21.89 over a gas range lifespan. That's $1.45 per year over an average lifespan of 15 years for a gas range. These minuscule savings indicate this regulation is really not about the consumer's pocketbooks. It's about federal control at the behest of radical green energy groups who want the complete elimination of the use of natural gas. I would like to point out where this to happen, there would be far less food to cook because natural gas is essential to fertilizer for food crops. Its elimination would cut food production in half worldwide. I encourage all my colleagues to support this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I reserve.
Gentleman reserves. For what purpose does the gentleman from New York seek recognition?
Mr. Chair, I rise to claim time in opposition to the amendment.
Gentleman's recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, sir. I would like to start by saying I have good news for my colleagues across the aisle. The Department of Energy isn't banning gas stoves. It doesn't even have the authority to ban gas stoves. So this amendment, like this whole bill, is political messaging. What DOE is doing is proposing a standard to make new residential gas stoves more efficient and cut gas waste, not to ban them. The proposed standard is so reasonable that half of the current models already meet it, including all entry-level models. They already meet the standard. And for those that don't meet the standard, manufacturers have until 2027 to upgrade their product line. So this really isn't anything outrageous. Also, DOE is required by law to review and update standards for appliances like refrigerators and air conditioning units. DOE is actually late with this stove standard. It was supposed to be completed in 2017, but we're glad they're working on it now. Models that meet the proposed standard consume 30% less energy than the least efficient models on the market. That is indeed significant. The full proposed rule, which also includes updated standards for electric and gas residential stoves and ovens, would result in up to $1.7 billion worth in savings for United States consumers and avert about 22 million metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions over 30 years of sales. So I stand in deep opposition to this amendment. This amendment would bar DOE from finalizing any future efficiency standards for gas stoves, locking consumers into less efficient appliances that are certainly more costly to use. This is just political fear-mongering, and it is a waste of our time, and I do urge my colleagues to vote against this amendment. With that, Mr. Chair, I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Alabama is recognized.
I appreciate the fact that my Democratic colleague admitted that half the stoves do not meet the standard when he says that half already meet it. By my math, the other half doesn't. Mr. Chairman, this amendment shows the clear difference in the vision between House Republicans and the Biden administration and my Democratic colleagues' views on these things. Their claim that this regulation will save American households money is another painful example of how bad they are on math. House Republicans believe in American energy abundance, and the administration believes in energy restrictions. We believe in consumer choice, and the administration believes in heavy-handed government mandates. We believe in consumers back home should make their own decisions, while the administration believes federal bureaucrats should decide what Americans can and can't do on a daily basis, including what they can use to cook their families' meals. I yield such time as he may consume to the gentleman from North Dakota, Mr. Armstrong.
Gentleman from North Dakota is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in support of this amendment. The amendment would stop the Department of Energy from implementing punitive regulations to ban natural gas stoves. Earlier this year, we learned that the Biden administration was considering a nationwide ban on gas stoves, when Consumer Product Safety Commissioner Tonko said gas stoves were a hidden hazard and all options are on the table to restrict their use. Weeks later, the DOE issued a proposed efficiency rule that would ban up to 96% of existing stoves on the market. DOE's punitive regulations to ban gas stoves is a massive expansion of their statutory authority. DOE should be focused on expanding energy options rather than banning them. DOE's regulatory assault will force the American people to change out their reliable gas stoves for more expensive and less reliable electric appliances. This amendment would stop DOE from banning those gas stoves, and I urge my colleagues to join me in support.
Gentleman yields. The gentleman from Alabama is recognized.
I encourage all my colleagues to support this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The question is on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Alabama. Those in favor say aye.